What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick, and on this channel I talk about cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and economics. Today's video is about Umami Finance. Umami is a DeFi protocol on the Arbitrum layer 2, and they're doing some very innovative things with paying out rewards to governance token holders directly in ETH, no inflation, and also with creating delta neutral vaults. In today's video, I'll go through how Umami works, how their upcoming vaults will work, and then what I see as the advantages and risks of this protocol. And before I go any further, I want to emphasize that nothing I say in this video is financial advice. You should still do your own research, of which this video can be an important part. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about what Umami is now, and then we'll get into the vaults after that. Umami was started last fall as part of the DAO Olympus fork season. If you recall that season, if you were around back then, basically protocols were offering insane APYs on their governance tokens, sometimes in the tens of thousands of percentages, and they were also selling their tokens to build up a treasury. And that, of course, resulted in most of these protocols crashing. However, Umami has retained their treasury, and they've been able to adapt and turn into a legitimate DeFi protocol, and they are no longer giving out token emissions. So if you heard of Umami back in the fall, it was probably through that DAO fork season, but they were able to repurpose that treasury, and they're doing some interesting things with it now. As things currently stand on July 1st, 2022, when I'm making this, you can stake their Umami token, and that would be in this marinate section here, and you earn 9.42% APR, and this is non-inflationary, so it's paid out in ETH. You deposit Umami, you receive Mumami, or Mumami, if you will, and then you get paid out this ETH at the first of every month. And where does that come from? If you look at their treasury report, basically their treasury is around 4.24 million, and they earn yield on that, and then they pay out some of the yield to people who are staking their governance token. And you might be noticing, while it was down 22% in the month of June, they do point out here back in their report, and by the way, this video is not a paid shill or anything. I just talk about interesting projects that I find. I have no affiliation with them, but the total crypto market cap was down 32%. Bitcoin was down 41%. ETH was down 49%. So in that context, a crypto treasury being down 22% is actually not terrible, right? Especially when they were earning yield the entire time. So basically that yield goes back to paying this 10% yield for Umami governance holders and people who are staking it. And then there's also the option to compound it. And then if you take your Mumami, you can bring it over here and exchange that for Umami. And then that's just basically an auto compounding version of Umami. So nothing too groundbreaking there, but it is cool that they're paying out rewards directly in ETH. And that's where Umami is right now. But the reason why I find it interesting is some of the things that they have coming up that they'll be launching in the near future, planning to start to roll out this month. And so basically the first product that they're launching is they are launching USDC vaults. And then with that USDC, they'll construct a delta neutral strategy where they're earning yields both on long positions and on short positions. And with that, they're expecting to be able to generate somewhere between 15 to 35% yield while remaining delta neutral. And the way that they're going to do that is how. So on the long side, they're going to go to GMX. I've talked about GMX on this channel before, and they are going to go to GLP. So GLP is the liquidity pool on GMX for people who are leverage trading, and GLP is composed of ETH, USDC, BTC, DAI, and then some smaller tokens. So it's about half stablecoins, and then most of the other half is BTC and ETH. So they're buying that GLP, and they are staking it here, earning 17% yield on it roughly, and that's their long position. And most of that, half that stablecoins, half of that is BTC and ETH. And then they're going over to Tracer Finance, which is also on Arbitrum, and Tracer has perpetual pools, and they allow them to create 3x leverage short positions on BTC and ETH. So they'll they'll have an algorithm that dynamically figures out what portion of their long position is in BTC and ETH, and then creates an equivalent delta neutral position that's short on BTC and ETH over here on Tracer. And they'll be earning yield on this short position as well. So they're long, they're short, they're earning yield on both sides of it. And in theory, they'll be getting over 15% yield on USDC. And their plan is with this is basically to start off small with a whitelist and then gradually scale it up to, last I heard, around $100 million in TVL if they're able to get it. And then, of course, people will pay fees, and those fees will go back to Umami stakers in the form of ETH. And so if the fees go up, Umami stakers are happy. That's the plan right now. And I think it's pretty cool, pretty innovative. Always good to see teams that are building new products, even in a bear market. As far as my personal take on this protocol, insofar as I might be interested in it, I'm much more interested in the Umami itself than I am in the USDC portion of it. People who watch this channel a lot will probably not be surprised by that. But basically, my take is cryptocurrency is for risky investments. And to me, the thing I like about it is the potential for massive upside. So if hundreds of millions of people or hundreds of millions of dollars of liquidity go into these vaults that Umami's creating, starting with this delta neutral one, maybe they'll roll out others, then a lot of fees will go back to Umami stakers. Right now, the market cap is around $9 million. And that would be very good for people who hold Umami. And so that to me is potentially interesting. As far as the delta neutral vault itself, you know, I'm not in crypto to earn 15% yield. And to me, the risk just doesn't justify earning yield on stablecoins. And the reason why I feel that way is putting aside Umami, say if you're earning 20% like people were on Anchor, your maximum upside is that 20%. Your maximum downside is you lose everything and it goes to zero. And for me, the emotional impact of losing my savings is way higher than the emotional impact I would get from earning 20% yield. And that's assuming that it lasts a whole year, right? Even more likely these things don't end up lasting for a whole year. And so I personally am not a fan of using these strategies for myself, but I expect other people will. And that's basically my take on that. As far as some other details about Umami, because I have been impressed with the way they've managed themselves. They have two separate entities that were created legally. They have Umami Labs, which is headquartered in the US, and Umami DAO, which is headquartered in the Cayman Islands. And so they're doing everything legit. They have doxed people on the team. They were audited by a firm called Zokio. And overall, I think they are doing things, about as well as you could expect from a small project. So I've been very impressed with that. And that doesn't mean that there are not risks. And I'll go through a few of those now. So first, just because something's audited doesn't mean that there can't be mistakes. Auditors miss things all the time. So auditing is a good check, but it does not guarantee that nothing will go wrong. Another thing I would say is that because of this strategy with USDC and how they're doing it across GMX and Tracer DAO, they will be exposed to smart contract risk both on their own protocol, on GMX, and on Tracer. So if anything goes wrong with any of these, then it's going to drain a lot of the funds from that vault, and that's going to be a major problem for the protocol. Finally, another thing, and this is specific to the GLP strategy, and they are using this for their treasury as well, last that I read. GLP, although I love GMX, and I think GLP is one of the best places to earn yield in crypto, there is a risk that in extremely volatile market conditions, if there were enough traders who won big, then it could drain the pool. And that could happen either if it was short or long. So that's something that you got to be careful of with GLP. And if it was drain the pool, basically just the value would go down. And that's what I have to say about Umami. Final thoughts on it. Love how they're continuing to build things in a bear market and how they're adapting from what they originally were to find a new product market fit. Like how they're paying out ETH. That is good. And I think projects are going to be moving towards that. And As far as the delta neutral vaults go, I can take it or leave it. I'll leave it for other people to use those sorts of strategies. That's not what I like to do on this channel. And that's all I got to say today. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.